All right, I'll be quick with my opening, and then I'll let you guys ask questions. Just I want to thank our staff, Jason Tudrin, Spencer Dickow, the recruiting staff, the video staff, Anthony Garo, everybody involved with recruiting. It's not just our staff; it's everybody operationally. Did an unbelievable job. Smaller class, and I know you probably have questions of why. I mean, it was done with intent. It was done with the intent of, as I said, a little bit of a change in how I wanted to attack this class. And I think a lot of you have seen why lately. But smaller class done on purpose. There's one more that we'll add and give you later. Just waiting on some stuff to make it final. I feel confident about it. We'll get that one to you later today. But smaller class, but very talented. I think there are certain players on this team that will have a chance to help us right away. But certainly done with the intent of going hard into the transfer portal, which we've done and will continue to do for this class. But really excited about these players. Great kids, fit Boston College, fit our culture, academic kids. I can't wait for them to get here. So appreciate all the hard work everybody did. But we have a lot of work left to do. I mean, that's usually the signing day. I remember was usually the end all where you kind of caught your breath and you stopped. But my phone's been ringing with about 3 different people every 20 minutes, and I'm getting to know and trying to continue to recruit. And we'll probably do that right up until January 16th when we start school again. So as many questions as you want. Go right ahead.
To that point, it's obviously not free agency, but now more than ever, does the day change compared to what you remember back in the day? And like even now, will you keep calling guys and talking to kids up until whatever 4 or 5 o'clock, or is today pretty much set and you're just waiting on a couple of things?
With high school players?
Yeah.
There's one other high school player we're recruiting. That's it. I feel very confident that we'll find out shortly, unless something changes. But that's it as far as high school players go. We went after the ones that we signed. There were some we had to part ways with. But this is the group that we wanted. These are the players that we targeted. I'm grateful that they decided to sign with us. But that will be it for high school players. It's just so different, right? I mean, from what I remember was there was your February signing date where you worked really hard, you got those guys, and you were done. And it was all high school players. And you'd sign 20, 25 players. At the time, it was 25 with the initials. And, yeah, so it's very different because while this signing class is done, there's a lot more work to be done in the other recruiting area, which is the transfer portal.
You go down the list, person by person. It's not a big list.
So. Sure. All right, Ryan Boltwood. He's a tight end out of California, junior college. So it's almost like it's getting an older player. Kind of got on him late. Turned on his film. Coach Shimko is the one that first showed me his film. Big, strong, plays with like a kind of defensive mindset, violent, very energetic, kind of guy that when he catches the ball, he tries to run through you and accelerate, physical on the perimeter. He's a guy that I believe will have a chance to come in and play. And I'm really excited about him. Charlie Camella, local guy. Fell in love with Charlie in our camp. One of the most competitive high school athletes that I've seen in a long time. Timed him very fast, played offense and defense at camp. Saw him play live a year and 2 years ago. Broke his collarbone, so really didn't get a chance to play this year. Saw him compete at DB. Saw him instinctively cover, locate the ball, go and get up the ball, and I offered him in camp. Probably would have blown up this year with a senior year. Possibly a two-sport athlete playing baseball. That's how athletic he is. Really excited about him. Kamori Dixon, a linebacker, 6'1", probably 210 right now, from Virginia. Very athletic linebacker, probably could play safety, backer, will probably grow into that type of guy who can come downhill, get in the box, long, athletic. Missed his junior year, was a very highly recruited as a younger player. Missed his junior year with an injury, came back, and we were all about him, and that was a hard fight at the end. He had other people come in, but he stuck with us. Jason Flint from Philly, defensive tackle, defensive end, another kid we had up here quite early. His film's fun to watch. He actually played Wildcat quarterback, running back, so he's a bigger athlete. He's definitely not going to play those positions in college, but he gives us a big athlete that could probably play end-to-end tackle. Jaden LaFontant from the Brunswick School. This was a hard fight. He's offensive lineman, tackle, guard. And when I first saw him, he looks like mahogany. That's like the type of body size that he has, very athletic. In my opinion, he also looks like a really good 3 technique, but he'll be an offensive lineman for us. Committed to Kentucky. It was a really hard fight with him, with a bunch of schools, was committed to Kentucky, stayed on him, stayed consistent. I mean, in our opinion, that's a local guy, one of the top local guys that there is in the New England area. And then we had him up 2 weekends ago at the start of the period where we could get him back. Had him and his mom on campus. He was at practice, spent a lot of time in my office, and we were able to flip him. That was a big win for us. We need to do that in New England, but he's got a chance to be a really special player. Cedric Lott from Texas. You guys probably haven't seen this kid or many pictures. I mean, this kid is a long, beautiful-looking wide receiver. Saw a lot of 7-on-7. Coach Wyatt did a great job with him. Saw a lot of 7-on-7 film of him. Hadn't played much in high school. Basketball player, big-time basketball player. I actually went down there 2 weeks ago and watched him play basketball. You want to talk about a smooth, soft hand, body control, can dribble, goes up and dunks like it's me playing on a mini basketball net. Really good athlete who I think is going to have a chance to be a special player and develop with Coach Wyatt, a guy with a ton of upside. Ashton McShane, another Texas kid from McKinney. I think this kid slipped through the cracks in Texas, and all the local coaches kind of said the same thing when I just visited him. Really good player, instinctive, smart, competitive, great ball skills, really good coverage skills, really good size, great kid, excited about him. Jonathan Montague, quarterback. He committed to us over the weekend on the visit. We were looking at a couple other quarterbacks, and he was up on the visit and got really excited about him and got him to commit. Just listen to these numbers. The kid's rushed for 2,500 yards. He's had over 40 touchdowns this year. I'm talking about this year. 2,500 yards, over 40 touchdowns, and threw for 1,500 yards. You want to talk about an athletic guy, and then he's big. He's over 200 pounds. I would say he's 6'2", and what a great kid. What an athlete. And you guys should check out his film if you have not. Really excited about him. Judah Pruitt, one of the top players in New Jersey. I think he was one of the Jersey Players of the Year as an offensive lineman. Originally was committed somewhere else. We flipped him pretty early in the process. A bunch of coaches kept coming in to recruit him. I appreciate him sticking with us. Big, strong, huge smile that kind of lights up a room. He was up again this weekend, hanging out, watching practice. Great family. Obviously, we're excited about him. Turbo, running back from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Short, stocky, not small. Probably 5'8", 208, 210 pounds. Really good with the ball in his hand. Has had some huge games. He's one of the best backs in all of South Carolina, one of the best players in South Carolina. We were on him early, and he stuck with us. And then Pop from Senegal. No, I did not go out and home visit him in the Senegal. Found him in the NFL Academy. Chris Snead did a good job there with Osi Munura, who were teammates. Osi got him into the NFL Academy. They sent us a bunch of film. You want to talk about a giant with a wingspan like I've never seen before. And one of the coolest visits that we've had. You want to talk about someone that gets here with appreciation and a smile on his face over little things that make you kind of take a step back and appreciate it, whether it's sleeping on a comfortable bed, first time you've been in a bed that big, eating food, just so grateful for everything that he could have had on the visit with this huge smile on his face. And here we are watching and evaluating his film, and he's doing all these drills in sand. I mean, we're watching video of this kid, this giant. It looks like it's 110 degrees. He's doing footwork drills in sand. He's running in sand, and boy, did he look athletic. He's got a chance, guys. He's a different build. He's a tough kid. He's grateful, and it's really cool to see. It's cool to see a guy get an opportunity like that, and I'm excited to see what he can bring. He'd been committed to us for a long time. We kind of just kept it quiet because schools were sniffing around, and we did believe that he'd blow up, and we wanted to make sure that this was going to be his home. But this guy, gosh, is he big. So small class, you can knock the rating all you want, but how do you get high rankings? You get 25 people in your class. When you have 11 guys in your class, that's what it's going to be. So it is what it is. Not worried about that at all. We'll combine this with work still to be done on the other recruiting that you now have, and we're going to bring in a great group. In my opinion, it will be a combination. It will be the best group that we've ever brought here, and we've brought in some good athletes and some good football players. This one will be different, and I can confidently say that. We should get some more good news here hopefully soon. Keep our fingers crossed, and then within the next day or two, we should get some even better news. So it's been fun, a lot of hard work. I think I went through all of them, right?
You got them all.
So any questions about any of those guys that I talked about?
Coach, how much did previous successes kind of play into the recruiting trail for you? Like, obviously Zay, they can turn on TV on Sunday and see what he's doing. Other guys from BC, like Matt Milani, you see him with the Bills, and just guys who were in the NFL. Just how much did that kind of help with guys who are now on the recruiting trail and seeing, BC and seeing what BC can do?
I think it always helps. I mean, I think Zay is a billboard every time he's out there catching touchdowns. I mean, we're recruiting wide receivers right now that their favorite player is Zay Flowers. I mean, same with Simmons, same with guys still love Luke Kuechly and Matt Ryan, and I mean, it's just how it goes, right? The more success our players have that are playing, the better it is for us. I think one of the things you're going to see with the running backs and the O-line is we ran the ball really well this year, and now all of a sudden these running backs want to come and run behind our offensive line. We had Zion drafted. All of a sudden we can go out and get for Chris Lindstrom, right? So all of a sudden that makes it a lot easier. Hopefully Mahogany's a high pick this year, and that continues. We've had 2 first-round picks in back-to-back years. So they see the development and they see what we can do, and then they turn on the TV this year, and it's twofold, right? It's, wow, I wanna run behind that offensive line, or I want to be part of that offensive line, or it looks at a position that might lack depth and say, wow, maybe I can play there and be developed by those guys. So you kind of get both.
That was going to be the second part of it is, you obviously have a younger, skill position, guys like Tommy are younger guys. So when they see these guys, the opportunity to compete with them, not necessarily against them for spots, but with them, how do they kind of see that growth, and how do you also talk about that growth and say, hey, we've got guys who are playing who are sophomores who could step in, and that could be you if everything breaks right?
Well, all these kids want to play early. I mean, every competitive guy in the country isn't saying I'm going to play when I'm a junior. I mean, they all want the opportunity to play as a freshman. Some positions, truthfully, are harder than others. It's probably harder to play offensive line. It's probably hard to be a starting left tackle than it is to come in and play wideout for 10 plays a game. I mean, you're not as developed as now with all these COVID years and extra years, a 23-year-old defensive end who's been starting, in the ACC for 4 years. I mean, you want to try to block that kid down and down out as an 18-year-old, it's hard. But they certainly all think they have a chance to, and maybe they do. I mean, we've played freshmen the last 2 or 3 years. We're going to play the best players, and then we're going to develop the guys that maybe aren't ready and try to get them ready as soon as we can. But I think every kid that you're bringing around the country has aspirations of playing early, and then when they get here, some realize that, I'm not going to be ready. And some realize, wow, I can play right now. And then it's our job to figure that out and play them.
The NFL Academy guys, do you find them more of a project, or are they mostly ready to go?
Well, it could be both, right? Some really haven't played much football. Some are just getting into it and just learning the game. And yeah, those guys will have a little bit more to go. But some of those guys have the highest ceiling, and some of those guys turn into the best ones. But it could go either way. You're never really going to know until you get your hands on them and see how quickly they pick up to the speed of the game, can understand the scheme, the playbook. But certainly we've got guys from Canada, and now we've got guys from Senegal. So we'll keep looking for him. You guys you'll know who he is when he walks in the room.
Coach, we don't see too many JUCO guys transfer in. Like Ryan Boltwood was a junior college guy. I know Coach Shimko was in the junior college kind of coaching circuit for a little while before he went to the Seahawks. As a general information, are there restrictions that you have to deal with when you're getting junior college guys to transfer up into an NCAA program? And 2 is just, what's that circuit kind of give you when you're out looking at guys?
Well, it's not one that we've really attacked very hard, truthfully. He was a qualifier coming out of high school, needed some more development, more time in his recruitment process. Was a great student coming out, and just needed extra time. You know, there's a lot of players in New England that go to prep schools, right? Out on the West Coast, a lot of them kind of go that junior college route to do the same thing. But definitely not one that we've attacked very hard. He kind of popped up late. We saw his tape. He went on a couple other visits, so he picked up steam late. But Ryan's a guy we really liked a lot. Definitely different recruitment for him and different path that he took. But I think he's a really good fit here.
Does he transfer in as a freshman?
He will be, yes, I believe he will be a freshman. Yes. He'll be a sophomore, so he'll be really a second-year player.
Okay.
You touched on it a bit, but how much do you look at, what we need versus talent? Is it like, we need X, Y, Z, or this guy's just really good? How do you balance that?
It's hard. It's really hard because it used to be where you would look at, you used to have it all laid out, right? Your freshmen, seniors, juniors, red shirts, how many years each kid had left. And you kind of knew who you were going to have to replace each year. You just don't know who you're going to have to replace anymore. So it could be in this class, we know we need to take 4 offensive linemen, and then all of a sudden you might need more, right? It's like, okay, we don't think we're going to need any receivers, but then 2 receivers leave, and all of a sudden you got to go recruit 2 more. So it's really hard to manage a roster. I've started to look at positions where you really need depth, and you just are always going to attack those positions regardless, And then there's certain players where you say, I'm not passing up on this guy. He's too good of a player. We're taking him. Because you just never know right now. I mean, there's no way to predict. I mean, if you look at it right now, we've been really fortunate. Our starters, our older players, they've stayed, right? We got to go through the whole spring portal window again. And then the hard part after the spring is if kids decide to go into the transfer portal at the end of the spring, the only input is the transfer portal. Whoever's left in the transfer portal. There's not going to be a high school recruiting class to do that. So you kind of got to take some guesses of we're going to overload at this position, but it's hard now. It makes it really hard. I mean, what if a school after spring ball loses like 5 guys at one position? Then it's how do you replace that? So managing a roster has become really challenging. So the high need positions where you have to have depth have become a priority. And then just never saying no to a really good player. It's tricky, man. It really has become tricky.
Got time for one more. We talked a lot about keeping a fence around New England. Only 2 kids here. Was it by design or just kind of okay?
I've never ever used the words keeping a fence around
Sure.
New England.
Coaches in general, I guess.
I'm going to recruit and evaluate New England as hard as we can, and we'll continue to do that. And whether it's a kid who had minimal offers or a kid who's highly recruited and committed to an SEC school, I think it's really important to look here first and evaluate here because we can get in person and see them in camp more. But recruiting everywhere has become so national, right? I was talking to an ex-player about that this morning, actually, who played here. He used to be a Northeast kid and used to look at the colleges in the Northeast. Used to be a Northeast school and look at the players in the Northeast. And now West Coast schools are coming to get East Coast guys. East Coast kids want to go to the West Coast. West Coast kids. It's just, but it will always start here for sure. That will always be really important to me. I think this is really good football. It's well coached. And I think there's a lot of players who are later bloomers that go on to become really good college football players, and I have a lot of respect for that. And we need to keep doing a good job and giving those guys the first look, and that's something that we'll do. But then there's always going to be the kid that doesn't want to stay home and might love BC and just not want to come to BC, might want to get away. And then there's some kids, honestly, they'll want to find their way back, and that's why you always lead people on good terms and have good relationships, because with this portal now, you never know when they're going to come back to you. And then it's our decision to say yes or no, not theirs anymore. But I'm excited about the local guys that we got. I'm excited about all these guys that we got. In general, it's a smaller class. With, in my opinion, we got 2 local guys. I mean, we got Charlie's I consider a local guy. Jaden's a local guy. You got 2 local guys right there. So I'm excited about them, 2 of the 11. And then maybe some local guys being announced down the road here. We'll see. Anyone else? Dan, you got a big smile on your face?
What's the reward tonight? Like,
The
what's
reward?
reward
We got
yourself?
we got practice.
I was gonna say, you're not gonna like no like good takeout tonight.
That's how
or
it
something?
used to be back in the day when it was in February. I remember going out and really celebrating. Last year I took the staff out too, but we've got 2:30 special teams meeting, 3 o'clock offense defense meeting, practice, and then I'm going to take the team to Top Golf tonight.
Ooh.
Finals was
Nice.
it was the last day, so I'm going to take the team out tonight and play some Top Golf. So there will be a reward for the players tonight for doing a good job and just getting out and hanging out with them a little bit. They've been bogged down with football and finals.